Hello, my name is, I'm not sure anymore. It's been a heavy night, Cronenberg 1664 and Penderyn single malt chasers. What the fuck was I thinking? You'd have to be one hell of a sadist to put someone through this. Yes, I'm looking at you, Bodhi of CI5. Why did I listen to you? Why? Ah well, what's done is done. The only way to redress the balance, reinstate equilibrium without removing the equi and just taking the librium, an addictive anxiolytic with killer side effects that turn you into a drivelling turkey from hell, is to work through it as some sort of therapy and make damn sure I spread the misery to others. That's where you come in. Someone's going to watch this review, whoever you are, and I'm going to take a leaf out of Prince Hazmat's book and offload all my pain and stupefyingly mindless shit onto you through the mixed medium combo of video and my big fat mouth. So off you go and prepare in no particular order. Hide any sharp objects, lethal implements or dangerous pharmaceuticals. Strap yourself down. Grit your teeth, gird your loins, put on some sort of padded headgear and neck immobilizing apparatus. Superglue your eyelids to your forehead, slap in your ball gag and buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy fucking ride.
Where do I begin?
Ah, fuck off. Right, some background first. A gentle forward drift, a gradual easing into this maelstrom. Hammer Films, they won the Queen's Award for Industry once. I grew up with Hammer movies on the TV and in the cinema. I loved them. They were great. All that lurid Technicolor, Max Factor, fake blood, nerve-jangling music, great stock actors like Peter Cushing, Chris Lee, Oliver Reed, Michael Ripper. Great days, great films. But by the 70s, they were finding it hard to compete against the new wave of more extreme big-budget horror flicks from the US. It was The Exorcist, a major league box office busting satanic epic, brilliantly written, superbly filmed and directed, that made them look tired, hokey, old hat, and utterly tame in comparison. Essentially, they faced stiff competition, but rather than look inward for truly creative ways of updating their core history, the long list of standard properties in their extensive back catalogue, they went for gimmicks instead. Now, the Bond franchise, when it stopped innovating, writing the script and leading the way, looked at what was current and integrated it with their existing formula: blaxploitation, kung fu, sci-fi, and it worked out okay for them, more or less. Hammer were late to the trend-jumping party, behind the times, in fact well out of step. It introduced increased female nudity, more on-screen gore, lesbian vampires, situation comedy, pseudo-arty, postmodern psychological thrillers, and whilst these were only partially successful interventions, they did keep the studio going for a while. The last fatal and crazy ditch was to form a partnership with Shaw Brothers of Hong Kong to cash in on the craze for kung fu flicks. Only this happened to be just as that particular pop cultural phenomenon was fading off the public radar. The movie pinnacle, Enter the Dragon, had passed with the passing of its charismatic, preternaturally dynamic and physically peerless superstar lead. If Bruce Lee had lived, I think he would have gone on to make some absolutely definitive big-budget Hollywood blockbusters, and the martial arts movie boom would have continued for much longer. His death seemed to drain the very life out of the fad, consigning it to the jittery wasteland of cheaply made B-grade exploitation fare, or badly dubbed, horribly grainy, hideously crackling, often seriously unappealing Chinese exports. Hammer got it insanely wrong. As martial arts mania became last year's thing in the US and UK, what do they decide to go and make? That's right, martial arts movies. The fucking idiots. First up was The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and that became something of a cult classic for a few notable reasons. Pete Cushing was in it, and Julie Edge. Julie Edge, there's two good reasons right there. Dracula became a Chinese bloke, which was different. It was pretty fast and frantic, some good martial arts sequences, very dumb, but, you know, a distracting little opus set much off the beaten track. A curate's egg, as we used to call weird atypical shit back then. Then, oh dear, the thing that is Shatter came into being. History has it, Don Houghton, he who scripted gonzo comedy classic Dracula AD 1972, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, and Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, had an original script, provisionally titled Shoot, about a hitman and set in Canada. This got developed into a script for a movie called Shatter, about a hitman and set in China, to capitalise on the partnership with Shaw Brothers and exploit martial arts action. American actor Stuart Whitman stars in the title role of Shatter. Yep, it's a name. Surname probably, but who knows. I tend to imagine the first name is Dick. Yeah, let's go with Dick. Dick Shatter. Or if Shatter is his Christian name, and why not? Shatter Dick. Peter Cushing in his last ever film for Hammer is wheeled out in support for 5 minutes. Chinese chop socky actor Lung Ti is the martial arts exponent, and Lily Lee the eye candy. Filming started in December 73 and the director, Monty Hellman, managed to last for 2 to 3 whole weeks before his ass got fired off the project for some reason. There is no conclusive report to explain, but it's been variously suggested he was behind schedule, or the rushes were incomprehensible, or he let his girlfriend do most of the directing. Whatever, Michael Carreras, son of Hammer founder James Carreras and primarily a producer by trade, took over as director. In retrospect, maybe they should have left it to Hellman's girlfriend. Hellman was most famous for making the cult road movie Two Lane Blacktop, which I have to admit succeeded in boring the living crapola out of me. Many rave about it, but it leaves me in the dust. He went on to executive produce Reservoir Dogs and direct that blockbusting neo-realistic horror classic Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out. How's that for a self-fulfilling prophecy? Once finished, the film got a release in the States in 75 under one of 2 titles. Either They Call Him Mr. Shatter or plain Call Him Mr. Shatter. This is a variation on a largely forgotten Sidney Poitier film, They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. All of them are crap clunky titles, but in Poitier's case, at least it had some meaning and relevance. Featuring his In the Heat of the Night character Virgil Tibbs, the title refers to the respect demanded and due to a black police detective in a predominantly white man's world because of his superior capabilities in his work. However, where anyone called Dick Shatter is concerned, any respect for the character is quite rightly going to be instantly in short supply. Shatter eventually got a release in the UK in 1977. I never got to see it until then. It was my usual venue, the Market Hall, and it shared a double bill with something I can't for the life of me remember. It could have been a Tygon flick, The Creeping Flesh, or an Amicus outing called And Now the Screaming Starts. How fucking true. I wish I could remember for certain, because then I could reasonably put forward the excuse that was the film I went to see and not Shatter, which was purely incidental. But it wasn't. I actually went to the cinema expressly to see Shatter. That was the one I decided I wanted to sit through. Why, you ask? What is wrong with you? Well, there's lots wrong with me, we really don't have time, but let me explain. I enjoy martial arts movies, Hammer films, action flicks, and have a great deal of respect and affection for dear old Peter Cushing. A combination of those things had its attractions. It's not as if I was expecting it to be all that great, but come on, how bad could it be? To this day, I curse my high expectations. The plot on a postage stamp is thus. Shatter, Stuart Whitman, is an international assassin and man of mystery, contracted to knock off an African dictator. He does so with a camera disguised as a gun. No, wait, it's a gun disguised as a camera. His employer for the hit, LeBert, played by Anton Diffrin, hangs out in Hong Kong, so Shatter goes there to get paid. Instead, he finds himself a target for assassination. LeBert has double-crossed him. Pursued by government agents and gangster types, he teams up with martial arts supremo Tai Pa, played by Lung Ti, to recover the payment he is due on the promise of splitting the cash with his newfound kung fu compadre. What ensues is a largely shoddy, poorly filmed, badly written, turgid, uneven, and mostly lethargic mess. Throughout production, Whitman was reportedly ill a lot of the time due to an excessive booze intake. By my estimation, he was in his late 40s when he made this film, but from the way he looks, like a Tracy Emin unmade bed art installation poured into a suit and tie, you could easily add another 10 or 15 years. Compared with Roger Moore, who was 46 when he debuted as Bond in Live and Let Die, I mean Moore looked tasty and sharp. Whitman looks unhealthy and blunt. Figure in that his acting is more wooden and inexpressive than a prehistoric oak tree preserved in walnut resin, and you have a lead character that just doesn't work. Shatter's love interest, Mei Mi, is played by Lily Lee. She was 23. Mei Mi, Lily Lee, 23. Am I trapped in some sort of alliterative rhyme in hell? Anyway, she was 23 when she made this film. With the best will in the world, justifying her romantic relationship with Shatter is as close to impossible as it is possible to get. I understand that some young women may be on the lookout for a father figure, but come on, there are limits, and I couldn't buy any of this. Listen, I'm fucking old and burnt out, and I've yet to meet a woman who wants me as a father figure. I know, hard to believe, but there it is. Lung Ti is fine in the fight sequences, and I've seen worse choreography, but they're quite unspectacular and borderline lackluster. Almost afterthoughts, like the director thought, right, kill the drag, time for some action, let's chuck in a punch-up. The Hong Kong locations are not captured with any attractive visual sense of vibrancy or appeal whatsoever. Everywhere looks like a cardboard cutout slum construct, and the camera work is hard on the eye. anyway. The score is by David Lindup, who composed the marvellously creepy theme for Hammer's Journey into the Unknown TV series. Remember that spooky empty funfair at night intro, kids? The signature tune sounds like a disco-themed Wurlitzer wired to titanium knitting needles then stabbed into your eardrums. It's pretty horrible and painful. It was a rush job to replace the original soundtrack provided by the Shaw Brothers, which was apparently pretty horrible and painful. Maybe it's a matter of degrees of horrible and painful, which can only inspire one to imagine what sort of unholy oral onslaught the Shaw Brothers' composition must have been. Into this ungodly morass walks one glimmer of light and hope. What I know about Peter Cushing is this. When his wife Helen died in 1971, he was grief-stricken. Never one to turn down work, by his own admission, he sought to counteract his grief by throwing himself into almost everything that came his way, simply because it was a distraction. However, he was a consummate professional, always turned up, always knew his lines, always hit his mark, always demonstrated the same commitment if it was Shakespeare or shit show, or in this case, Shatter. He is on screen on 3 occasions, one of which is to exposition the hell out of the mindless goings-on. His scenes were filmed early by Hellman over 4 days. No one's going to begrudge him a trip to Hong Kong and a paycheck for that, especially as he's the best thing in the movie. See this? It's a VHS video rental cover for Shatter, one that tries to sell it as a Peter Cushing movie. He was a class act is all I'm saying. Probably deserved better than this for his Hammer swan song. I know it all sounds rather negative so far, and yep, that's because it is. Too late for me to stop now, but you can always turn me off before we go any further. Yes, goodbye then. Nope, well, you had your chance. Don't say you didn't. Shatter is systemically incoherent. On a positive note, this will sometimes make you smile maybe, or alternatively, it will hack you right off. To be clearer, this is what I mean. Someone tries to shoot Shatter as he sits in a taxi. Shatter ducks, the bullet goes through the window and hits a Chinese road worker in the arm. Bleeding from his bullet wound, the Chinese road worker looks up to the sky, like, where did that come from, up there? What, some passing heron shot you? In Cushing's exposition scene, he says that opium will be converted to high-grade cocaine. Opium and cocaine are like gold and iron. One cannot be converted into the other. Do some basic fucking research, Hammer people. 2 Chinese assassins try to take Shatter out by blowing up his hotel room from across the street. To achieve this, they have a semi-automatic machine gun, into the barrel of which they plug a big green mortar shell and fire it like a rocket when the trigger is pulled. Try that in real life and they'll be scraping bits of you off the scenery until Chinese New Year. When Tai Pa finds Shatter beaten up in an alley by Cushing's thugs and decides to help this guy he's never met before and doesn't know from a prawn cracker, he takes him to a room in his bar massage parlour. Here he meets Mei Mi, who offers him a drink and a massage. He requests a Bacardi. A girl arrives with a drink without being told to get a drink or what drink to get. At Tai Pa's safe house, to which they go directly from the bar massage parlour, Shatter finds a bottle of Bacardi waiting for him. This must be the most random act of product placement ever. Mei Mi knows Shatter for all of a day and falls madly in love with him. Yeah, he's that much of a hot-looking stud and charisma jockey. In the dead of night, sleeping in bed with Mei Mi, Shatter has a harrowing dream, mumbling and moaning in his sleep, having some montage flashbacks. He's still having the same dream and mumbling and moaning in the morning when he wakes up. That's one hell of a long recurring nightmare. I think I know how he feels. In a fight on a filthy, grubby coastal area, Shatter's 6-bullet revolver magically fires a 7th bullet to kill one of his assailants, without the need to reload. When the case containing $1 million is nicked by a Chinaman in a rowboat, neither Shatter or Tai Pa seem to register it's just this instant been lifted or do anything to try and retrieve it. It's not like the thief was speeding away on a fucking jet ski. He must have made it all at 20 feet from the shore. On shooting the 2 main villains, LeBear and an African general, they fall through a casino window. Cut to 2 shop display dummies plummeting downwards through a glass canopy to the ground, in slow-mo, so you can clearly see they are 2 Marks and Spencer mannequins. I could go on seemingly forever, but I think that's enough for you to get the picture. Should you give Shatter a shot? Well, if you're a Hammer and or Cushing completist, then the answer is self-evident in that case. If you haven't already, yes, you should and likely will. If you're a big fan of the sort of early 70s exploitation grindhouse fare beloved of Tarantino and Rodriguez, then it fits relatively into that niche, and it may be your sort of thing. For the casual viewer though, probably afford it a wide berth, because it will be 90 odd minutes of your life you won't ever get back. That's the fairest appraisal I can come up with. Believe it or not, Hammer had plans to develop this into a TV series. Anyone hazard a guess as to how that worked out? How best to describe this film? Try this tongue twister. Someone shot Shatter sitting on the seashore. Keep saying that over and over, faster and faster, and see what comes out of your mouth. If it's uneven, incoherent baloney that doesn't make any sense and pisses you off, then that's what Shatter is like. And you're now a film critic. Congratulations, the gift that keeps on giving, folks. As always, to anyone who has managed to stick with it, big thanks. If you feel so inclined, you could shatter on subscribe, T-Lung on like, or cushion a comment. That doesn't make any sense either, does it? But what do you expect at this point in time? Meanwhile, here's a song called You Were Never Really There. Unfortunately for me, I was. Twice now. Bugger. Pick up the placard and hold it aloft. Wave it about till the bloodlust wears off. Righteous and anguished and shot through with tar. Every man, Jack of you, follow that star. But you're wasting your time and your breath, preaching sermons when I'm already left. Don't you know a life goes when you see one? Recognize the eclipse when it covers the sun. You never belonged anywhere. You were never really there. Pick up the gauntlet and haul it around. Smash it in faces all through the town. Fired up and fervent and loving to go. Link up your arms and lie down in the road. But you're wasting your time and your breath, preaching sermons when I'm already left. Don't you know a life goes when you see one? Recognize the eclipse when it covers the sun. You never belonged anywhere. You were never really there. Can you get it through your heads, your triple thick skulls? Are you that fucking stupid, that fucking dull? You don't hurt the rich or the powerful on high, only ordinary people just trying to get by. Piss on their lives and spit in their eyes. Take up the challenge on behalf of us all. Though nobody asked, you run with the ball. And when you get home, bet you smile at your plug. Sanctimonious, smug, and righteous as fuck. But you're wasting your time and your breath, preaching sermons when I'm already left. Don't you know a life goes when you see one? Recognize the eclipse when it covers the sun.